Tommy,
Danny boy.
you look good. You
Dude, you look
change.
good too. Got a nice glow about you.
We have to take each other's words for it. So, anyways, back to the conversation we were just having.
All right.
Um,
And we went through a lot.
yeah, 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 we did.
Yeah.
But anyways, uh, like, so this, I don't know. It's like some sort of enlightened, nihilistic view of everything. And like, can you like repeat that?
Like the Cliff Notes version of kind of,
Yeah,
all right. So, yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of talking about what it means to be human. What's the point of all this? Kind of the questions that we ask ourselves when we're, taking a shit, or in the shower or whatever. And, yeah, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. You have, tons of people have. And ultimately, the conclusion that I've come to is that, we want to, as humans, we want to have like this, oh, there's this like great purpose for this and something we're supposed to be attaining and all that. And ultimately, I mean, I don't really think that that's true. I think that really the Cliff Notes version of it is that we're just kind of here to do kind of whatever we want to do. And, people will hear that and they'll think, oh, so hedonism, we're supposed to go around and just do drugs and have sex with everybody. And it's like, no, like, not everybody wants to do that. There are people out there who want to do that, but not everybody does. So, yeah, I think we're just kind of
yeah,
here
but
and,
like objectively, eating a cheeseburger and having sex is feels good. And like, if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't exist because people wouldn't eat and reproduce. Like, we have to
Mhm.
agree that like everyone does want to do, like, more or less everyone wants to do that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with eating a cheeseburger and having sex. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, well then it's like, all right, if that's true, then why is it that like when you're really hungry and you're sinking your teeth into a cheeseburger, it feels like the right thing to do?
Because it is. When you're really hungry and then you eat a cheeseburger and then you're not hungry anymore, it's like that's the right thing to do in that moment. What's the alternative? What if that's like not a good thing to do, what is the quote unquote good thing to do in that moment?
I think it is the good thing to do. I believe that like there is a purpose for this life, and nourishing your physical is a part of that.
Yeah, but is eating food when you're hungry or, sleeping when you're tired, is that really the like the grand purpose or like the why are we here conversation? I think when people are having the why are we here or what's the point of all this conversation, it's typically like beyond doing all that stuff to keep us going for another day. Like what or like why are we keeping ourselves going for another day? You know?
Well, I mean, the reason why we have such a breadth of diet is because we're like higher thinking creatures that have a bigger demand to run brain power. And it's like outside of keeping that to get, outside of waking up the next day because you have fuel, like we are clearly doing something else that everything else is not doing. And we need to
Mm.
fuel that.
Yeah.
And so like it's more than just keeping us alive for the next day. It's like continuing to move forward towards, I don't know, a happier and healthier life for more people. I don't know if that's exactly the purpose of why we're here. Grow closer to God. I mean, you could tie that into providing more people with more access to resources. It's hard to remain in prayer when you've got a gun to the back of your head or you're, in a concentration camp, or you just can't focus because you haven't eaten in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and all those things suck, all those things, gun to the back of the head, concentration camp, being hungry, you know. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to that. I've never been in those situations. I don't know what that's like, you know. So so where do we want to go with this conversation?
Well, this all started because, I think at some point you'd ask me, what do I want to do with my life, or what do I want to get out of life?
Right.
And like I toggle between like fear mode, which is like, okay, I just need to secure resources for me and my family moving forward. And obviously losing my job turns that switch on where I'm like, oh man. And like, sure, I can go generate money today to pay the bills, but I'm thinking like, what can I do so that I'm not in this situation in the future? And so what do I want to get out of life when I'm in fear mode right now is like a job that's going to last till retirement.
Hmm.
It's like it's not short-sighted because it's a long time frame, but it is not a very tall aspiration. Like usually when
Right.
those resources are met, I'm thinking, oh, what else can we do? We got to start a podcast. We got to wake up and train to be bike racers. Like this threat shortens my horizon.
Right. Well, also with those things, like I think it kind of just go one step further. It's like fear mode, want a job that you can have till retirement. But then you also have to ask yourself, right, why do I want that job? And it's not because of the fucking job. You know, it's because you want to be able to provide for your family. You want to not be in fear mode, right? You want to be able to focus on all those other things like riding bikes or, whatever, whatever it is. You know. And but then like, yeah, why do you want to ride bikes? Like what about riding bikes is awesome? You know, it's obviously something you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah, well, a number of reasons. Obviously, like pushing the physical, and I don't even want to go into why I want to ride bikes because it's just like an annoying conversation
Yeah, but
sometimes.
stripped down and just simplified, it's just you know, we
Well,
go back to the point you
because
enjoy doing it.
right, right. Well, I enjoy doing it for a number of reasons, like mainly because when you exercise for hours on end, it like puts you into, I hate to say like a different reality, but it like definitely forces a change in your perspective. Like
Yeah,
your immediate reality tunnel changes when you've been pedaling a bicycle for 2, 3, 4 hours.
right. Which is, and you like that feeling, you don't like that feeling.
I do like it. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so
It's not, it's funny. It's not that I necessarily like it. I just don't like ordinary reality, which is no surprise if you've known me since after puberty.
yeah, all right. Yeah, well, the same is true for me. Like, I love getting on Xbox and playing, video games because it teleports me to a different,
Mm,
reality. I love playing, one of the reasons I love playing chess is because when I'm playing chess, it's a game where the rules are predefined and they don't ever fucking change. Like in day-to-day life, people change the rules all the time.
right,
And then it's like, well, what the fuck is going on? Yesterday was this, today it's this.
right.
When I'm playing chess, it does not change, So yeah, I'm right there with you and enjoying, you know. So sometimes it's tough here.
But it's like, why are we given this scope? Like, why can't we just like chew our itchy asses like a dog when they itch, eat when we're hungry, you know?
We can. You mean why do we have to go to work and do all that shit?
In that, well, it's just like, why do we have the perception to like analyze these things? Like my dog, I don't think does. I think it's just running off pure instinct.
And here's the
And
thing.
like, I get it, we're humans, yada yada yada, but it's like, why does this stage in evolution or this? divine gift of life, whatever you want to call it, like why does it come with the ability to zoom in on what may or may not be the truth?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of humans that do, and I think there's also a lot of humans who don't. A lot of humans are just fat, dumb, and happy and going through life, and they don't.
But
But
I think that that's like a combination of their product of their circumstances. Like I think that any human, like provided they're not disabled mentally or maybe even physically, because then you're restricted from a lot of experiences. But the vast majority of humans, I think, given the right circumstances, would have the capacity to look into these things and not just go, cheeseburgers are good, the TV's good, this is good. I
yeah,
think like deep down in everyone, there's like the ability to take a closer look. They
yeah,
just
for
haven't
sure.
been able to because of their circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another thing that ties into that is, having that conversation around purpose. Like, I don't think a lion wakes up in the morning and says, like, what's my fucking purpose for my life? And as far as I know, it's a uniquely human experience to, man, to even have like, it sounds stupid to say this, but to have deeper conversations, implying
Mm.
that other animals have any sort of conversations. And, I don't know that they do or don't, but why do we have that? Yeah, it's a gift and a curse, man. It's a gift and a curse. But, maybe there's some ultimate truth to be found at the end of it. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's just like a dog chasing its tail. Maybe we do it for fun. It's like, yeah, if you find out, let me know. But I don't know
Well,
why we
like,
engage
all
in it.
right, like, let's say that if we're choosing to believe that, so how do I want to say this? I have this gut feeling that there is this divine purpose to life, right? And I think earlier, like your more or less your response was like, well, that narrative serves you. Like you enjoy it. Enjoy was the word, right? Like obviously choosing to believe that inspires hope, which makes this a little bit easier than just
Mhm.
saying objectively, you can do whatever you want. Like you're choosing to do what you want, even if it isn't masturbating and eating McDonald's 3 times a day.
Right.
And it's like, I just can't settle for that. Like, there's got to be more to it. Like, that's what's going to get me out of bed in the morning is like there actually being some sort of divine purpose to this.
Yeah, I mean, and my take, and it's changed over time, and it could change tomorrow if somebody, comes up to me and tells me something that makes me think a little bit differently. But I think divinely, there really is no grander purpose for human life. You know, I think that, it's almost like God said, you know, here's a deck of 52 cards, now figure out how to have fun with it. Because a deck of 52 cards, there's nothing intrinsically awesome about it. It's just 52 fucking cards. Some of them are red, some of them are black. But we figured out a way to like do something with it where we can play, poker or spades or, 52 card pickup, whatever the case is. And I think so. I think divinely, bigger purpose, probably not. But from the human standpoint, we are able to wake up every day and say, wow, like we've got another day in front of us. The world is my oyster, yada, yada, yada. And that's pretty awesome. Like I was telling you earlier, it's like being in a dream and realizing you're in a dream and you're like, oh, fuck, I can like do whatever I want now. I think that that's really what it comes down to. Um, and I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like free will or whatever you want to call it.
No, I think that's a funny, like that's a, you know, when you're in the dream and you're like, oh shit, I'm dreaming. And usually in my case, it's like, okay, that means the dream's gonna end soon. Like usually when I realize I'm dreaming, I know it's not gonna last much longer. So it's
Mhm.
like, what can we get away with before this dream ends?
Right.
Which was an interesting scenario when I was a teenager. But but it's like, yo, like I mean, just because you know there's no consequences in the dream, where it's like if you could have that attitude in real life, because like I guess ultimately there is no consequences.
Let's chew on that for a second. When you say consequences in the dream, what you're saying is in the dream, you can do whatever you want, but there's no consequences to actual you.
Right. Like I'm gonna wake up
And you're going
soon
to be just
and
fine.
it's over.
Now hold on to that thread. I had a dream 2 nights ago where I was in jail and it sucked. I was in jail in my dream, but when I woke up, I wasn't in jail. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Let's take a step back. Imagine for an instance that just like we are, alive here, we go to bed every night and we dream, and then we wake up. Imagine that this existence that we're having right now, where we're pondering what's the point of this experience, yada, 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 is just God's dream. It's just we're just a figment of God's imagination. And so when we
Yeah,
talk
but
about
like that
having
doesn't
no,
work because like I feel pain. I get hungry. I have like emotions that have bigger consequences than what I experience in a dream. So it's like it's a fun analogy, but it's like not.
you've never been upset in a dream, you've never felt emotions in a dream.
I have, but not. They don't have a. It's because they're short, which like so is life, you know?
I think what you're doing is you're comparing the dream, like you're analyzing the dream from Danny's point of view when he wakes up. Like when I've had, I haven't had a nightmare in a long time, but I remember having nightmares as a kid and being fucking terrified, absolutely terrified. And it's only when I wake up and I come to and I realize, oh, it was just a dream, that it becomes less real. But while it's happening, it's pretty real,
Yeah. I mean, it's as real as this is. Why not?
for
Like,
sure.
obviously, it's different circumstances because you wake up every morning. Like, maybe the dream lasts as long as you were asleep, but that's it. Where, like, this has longer consequences and, like, can be extremely painful if it's not handled appropriately, like winding up in jail or dying young or ruining your marriage or whatever you want to, however you want to
Yeah.
play it out, losing your fingers. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think certainly like the dying young is probably the best out of those if we're using this analogy. Because then what happens is you just kind of wake up
Yeah,
if
but
it's
I
true.
don't know because like we are using our human brains to measure like a time frame. So of course a dream is short and of course life is long. But like in terms of like ending this experience early, it's just like if time is like made up essentially, like we superimpose the years on it in minutes, seconds, whatever, to like, you know, create a framework for us to wrap our heads around it. But it's like this is going to end no matter what. That's the only thing that's promised. Like you might as well. Like the result's going to be the same. Like dying young or dying old, like you're still going to
Yeah,
get to the end point.
right, right,
And especially over like what we're told is the length of the universe. There's virtually no difference between dying at 20 and dying at 80 in terms
right.
of the scale of the universe.
So I want to kind of touch on that for a bit. So this whole, like you said, it's the only thing that's promised is like dying, right? Um, And I don't know, for me, when I think about that, when I contemplate my own mortality, it's like, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna die. Like I'm not gonna be able to have conversations like this. I'm not going to be able to eat cheeseburgers. I'm not going to be able to masturbate when I'm dead. So, um, but I'm also not going to be able to, like, there's beautiful things I won't be able to do. Like, I won't be able to, like, see a sunrise or, whatever, play the guitar, whatever it is. Um, and those are the things when I think about all that stuff, contemplate my mortality and realize that I am in fact alive right now, it kind of does give me a bit of a wake-up call, like, oh shit, like what do I want to do with life? And there's things I need to do. I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to have a job so that I can do all those things. That's all just kind of whatever. I could also, if I didn't want to work a job, I could also just go live in the woods and hunt rabbits. But I found it's a lot easier to just work a job
Mhm.
because there's no AC in the woods and I like AC. But like beyond doing all that stuff to meet my needs, it's like, well, what else do I want to do with my life? And I don't know, for me, it's, I don't think it's any sort of grand purpose. I would love to write like a record that like people listen to 100 years from now, that people put up there with the Rolling Stones. It's probably not going to happen, um, but ultimately it just comes down to like I want to do things I enjoy doing, you know? And I don't think God gives a flying fuck what I do.
Well, it's like, sure, but there has to be like ultimate. It's just like if there is a creator of this infinitely complex reality in every direction, doesn't matter what part of it you look at it, it goes very deep.
Hmm.
And it's like there's got to be right and wrong. Like there's got to be like raping children is not the right thing, murdering people is not the right thing. Surely the creator of the universe has stakes in that. I mean, why would he create children? Like truly like a sinless creature to be like the ultimate victim of horror.
Well, why would he create rapists that do that shit?
Well, I think that like when you're beyond childhood, I don't know. That's a good question. Because
Because
like
we,
what I want to say is like that is the adult person. Like every adult, obviously some more than others has to put some amount of energy into dealing with that. I mean, obviously, it seems like pedophilia is a freaking anomaly just based on the numbers. Like,
yeah, I would think so.
obviously, the vast majority of people, it is not a problem for.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Why do we hold adults accountable and children not accountable for their actions? I guess is what that comes down to.
I don't know. I don't know why we,
It's because like they're sinless to a certain extent. Like if you can't wrap your head around right and wrong, why would you be held accountable for it?
yeah, I know. I totally agree. I think children, just, they're still growing. They don't, but that's a different conversation. That's a conversation around, accountability and shit like that. But, why would God allow, these things to exist if they're bad or, there's things that are
Well,
good or
like
bad in God's
A
eyes.
Christian would say that we have free will, which like makes sense to me. Like of course we die. Of course we have free will. We say this all the time. Of course, junk food tastes good. Of course, yada yada yada. But I mean, why would God create sharks and smaller fish or humans and beef or
Yeah.
you know? But it's like I don't know. Going back to it, it's like there has to be like murdering another man is wrong. Taking advantage of a child is wrong. There
A
has to be like
court,
core tenets to this right and wrong conversation.
you say there has to be. Why does there have to be?
Okay, there doesn't have to be, but it's like in terms of having a useful conversation, like we need to agree that those things are it's not that we need to. It's just like it would make sense that agreeing upon those
It
things
would help the world make sense to you.
gives a better bait. I mean, it doesn't just help me make sense of it. It helps the world continue forward. We can't
Right.
kill each other.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And there's humans have, over, centuries have put these things in place that if you murder, you go to jail. If you, interfere with children, you go to jail, or you get stoned or whatever, So we certainly have rules and regulations in place. Um,
Well, let's talk about
but
this then.
ultimately, I think it's because we have decided that these things are good and these things are bad.
Well, let
I
me
just,
ask you this then. Let me ask you
yeah,
this. And
yeah.
this question is based on like I've been sober for 7 years, and the, like if there when I think about God's will, like the only conclusion that I've drawn about God's will since getting sober is that He wants me to be sober. He wants me to be sober. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like God's intention for my life is his highest intention for my life is sobriety. That like I can't definitively say anything else
But
about
that seems boring to me. God wants you to be sober. Why?
because I'm just disconnected if I'm not. He wants
And
me to be connected to the source.
the source, which is what, him?
God, yeah,
It, she?
right. The thing we're talking about, whatever.
Why does God want you to be connected to the source? Like, what's the benefit in that to you? What's the benefit in that to God? What's the benefit in that to other people?
This
In fact, forget other people for now. Let's just focus on you and
the
maybe God.
benefit of me is like it's the difference between heaven on earth and hell on earth. And I won't say heaven on earth because life sober isn't heaven, but life drunk is was tending towards hell.
Right.
And I just think like God doesn't like this thing that we're experiencing wasn't meant to always be hell or tend
Right.
towards hell.
For sure. So, so God wants you to be sober so that you have a better life, so that you're more happy and all that good
Are
stuff.
you saying, are you leaning towards a point like, let me ask you this, regardless of our conversation, do you think God wants you to be sober?
Um, I don't think God gives a shit if I'm sober
Well,
or not
then
sober.
how do you stay sober?
I want to be sober.
So w when we talk about AA, that's how I got sober.
Yeah.
It is rooted in this foundation that like we couldn't do it on our own, and there is some external source. The external source that I'm saying wants me to be sober. Is that the case for you?
So I know that, sobriety has not happened for me unless and this is the AA thing, obviously. Sobriety is impossible for me unless I tap into a power greater than myself, which, call it God, call it Krishna, call it Yahweh, whatever you fucking call it. Don't call it anything at all. It doesn't matter. Um, but, so Thomas needs that thing in order to get sober. I want to be sober because my experience is better when I'm sober, but I don't think God cares either way. If I'm sober or not sober. I don't think God cares if I'm happy or not happy. I just don't think I think that those, that sort of caring or the good and bad, those are such human,
So like happiness is just like a mechanism for survival.
uh, possibly. I think, unhappiness is also a mechanism for survival in the same breath. Um, I think happiness is, it's just a byproduct of experience, you know?
Yeah, but dude, you've never had those moments where you're just socks blown off. Just holy cow, the heavens have opened.
Oh, I certainly have, yeah.
And
And
like
chased that feeling my entire life. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I've experienced those things sober.
Yeah, I
And
have too. I have too,
and
100%.
it's like that has to be, I just am inclined to believe that is what has kept me sober. And like that thing's intention is connected to those experiences.
That thing's intention. So God's intention is connected to those experiences.
Right. That would just
Yeah.
make sense. And it's like if we're talking about something that created everything, like why would that not make sense?
Because you just said it right there. If it's that thing that created everything, like that includes those like blowing your socks off awesome moments. It also includes those moments of absolute hopelessness and despair and just, it's absolutely everything. And I don't think, there's that question like which child is your favorite child? Oh, I don't have one. And every parent actually really does. But I actually think they don't. I think at moments they have a favorite child, and I'm not a parent, so I'm just blowing smoke out my ass, but I don't think God favors one experience over the other. I think it's all the same to God. Just as an artist, probably doesn't prefer one color over another. They all serve a different purpose at a different time, to bring a painting to life.
And
I
and
think
that and that's the purpose is to bring a painting to life. That's God's purpose.
I think so, yeah.
Well,
And
then
and
like why
why
is
do I
it
draw
so
that conclusion? Well, the reason I draw that conclusion is because, as we talked about before jumping on, there's basically, I can kind of sum it up into two possibilities. A possibility where there's existence and a possibility where there's no existence. And we would all love to have this possibility of existence where it's an eternal orgasm, there's no sadness, there's no suffering. But you don't have that happiness without the sadness. We all know that cliche. So existence or non-existence. Non-existing existence being it's like simply God just existing by himself. And I don't know. I think for whatever reason, God decided somewhere along the lines, like let there be light, so to speak. And from that, here we are. And I just don't think that God has any, I think he just kind of put the movie on and pressed play, and I don't know, man. I don't know. And the more I talk about it and kind of dive into it, the more words kind of fall out of favor for me. Because again, we're speaking about this thing that can't really be spoken about. We're trying to make sense of
so
it with
God is good, just rooted in the fact that you would choose reality over the lack of reality.
God is love, which is so far beyond good. God is love.
Well, then why did he create the rapist?
So we're getting into a place where it becomes very sensitive and we have a conversation about rapists through like a human's, sense of perception and I grant that rapists are, because I'm a human, right? I grant that rapists are bad and it for people who suffer from rape, like it's a terrible thing. Um, But when God, created existence, so to speak, he basically threw it all out there to us and said, have fun now. And some people's idea of fun, unfortunately, is raping people.
But how does that not add to the definition of God if God is love?
Can you rephrase that for me?
Right. So we're talking about what God is, and you said God is love. And if that still doesn't answer the question, like, how could God be love if he said, go have fun? And some people think fun is dropping an atom bomb on Nagasaki, or not to say fun, but like just that's what they've done with their free will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because it lends itself to the breadth of experience. And again, like we would love for our experience to be eternal orgasm all the time, nothing but goodness, but uh I don't think that that's the full breadth of experience. I think that there's ultimate highs, there's ultimate lows, and there's everything in between. And it's maybe we tend towards a future where there's less and less of the ultimate highs and less of the ultimate lows. There's less and less of the super uber rich who have whatever they want and hardly ever, suffer whatever that might look like. And there's less of rapists and dropping bombs. Maybe we tend towards something that's more in the center. But ultimately, I think that that's up to us. I don't think God's gonna, you know, reach his hand down, or do anything like that. I think that that's up to us. Here's your deck of cards, figure it out.
I know, but it's like I don't like that answer.
What do you
And,
like?
and it's
What
like
answer
if
do you
it
like?
is that, if it's that, like I like principles and I like a foundation. And like I'm not going to
Exactly.
go to the extreme of saying that seas parted and people raised from the dead to
Well,
achieve that framework,
yeah.
but I have to say that like the things we've been talking about, that I think that the thing that keeps me sober wants that for me. That was the intention. It wasn't for me to, he wants me to help other people and not just think about myself.
I think you want to help other people. And I think
I
you should
just,
take
I don't
I
think
think
I
you
do,
should
because
take
if you hook me up to a polygraph, I am not passing. A lot of the days, I'm going to be like, this totally sucks. And I don't want to, like, I just don't care. I eventually,
so why do it?
because I have enough life experience to know that doing things that you don't want to do a lot of the times is the right, like, that's what's going to serve you long term,
It's going to serve you.
which
So
also serves others because, like, the purpose of, like, it's going out and serving those people.
yeah, but I think it serves you for, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, there are people out there, especially as it relates to like, you know, this conversation, God's will, like, yeah, we should serve others. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing whatever's in service to you. I mean, you're gonna die one day. You're alive right now. Fucking enjoy it.
Yeah, but not at any cost, you know?
But the cost it's gonna be to before it's to anybody else will be to you. Because especially today, like you have a conscience, you know, you're not a child who doesn't know any better. You're an adult that knows better.
Well,
You know any good why did the chicken cross the road jokes?
no, no.
I heard a good one recently. I just can't fucking for the life
To
of me.
get to the other side.
Yeah, let's see
Eh.
the one. Um, yeah, I can't
All
remember.
right, we got less than a minute left. One day we'll each throw down $8.50 a month.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, folks. Stay tuned because we are gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, and if there's anybody out there who, for whatever reason, stumbled upon this and is listening to it, leave a comment below. What your thoughts are, and if you have any suggestions for future conversations, let us know.
So long.